If you were to drop me into Cyberpunk's Night City, you know what would scare me the most? Not the gangs and violence, not the poverty and climate change, not being extorted by some corpo, not even disappointing Pan Am. What would really terrify me is the net. More specifically, its connection and relationship with the human body and mind. In Cyberpunk, technology is part of the day-to-day life, no matter what your occupation or lifestyle is, whether you're a doctor, gas station attendant, hot dog vendor, even the nomads who live off the grid and are self-sustaining rely on technology to survive. It's definitely something we are starting to see in our very own world. I mean, we have an app for everything and a notification for every little event. Our attention span is being split between the real world and technology. It's all a bit uncanny. The uncanny valley is that gut feeling telling you, hey, that thing right there, that's not human. Okay, so what, you walked by your cat, a table, your chair? No, that thing you walked by is almost human. It's so almost human that if you were not paying attention, it would have fooled you. But you weren't paying attention. You're too busy checking if that $7 Steam game is 99% off. We are too stimulated and distracted to notice subtle things out of the ordinary. It's impossible to pay attention to every single stranger that we walk by without being a little paranoid. We have gained that comfort as a species, I think. We have evolved to be a communal species who use tools to make our everyday life easy and comfortable and gamer. But you know what else is evolving? The net. In Cyberpunk, the net and technology as a whole has evolved to the point of having sentience, something we are starting to see in our own world. Well, how long till our phones start judging our activities and search history? God, please let the last one not happen. And some people in Night City are even choosing to substitute technology for their human parts, like their human parts, as almost to say, hey, I know where this is going, and I'm not getting left behind. It's also very common to see cyborgs or just plain robots walking down the street while you're on your way to Chipotle, seemingly having their own routine and place in society. And that's just the things that we're seeing happening in plain sight. Who knows what's going on in the shadows and closed doors? So in Cyberpunk, we have examples of sentience becoming less human, sentience becoming more human, and sentience that chooses to hide and blend into the unknown. Three different paths that life and technology are choosing to progress in this kind of social Cold War for survival, seeing who's gonna make it to the future. Where is the line gonna get drawn? Will it be humans that dip their toe into the net? Lizzy Wizzy, real name Elizabeth Wissenford, Bridgerton name, is a musical artist and celebrity in the world of Cyberpunk 2077. But in 2071, her career and life would evolve to the next stage. As a publicity stunt and advertisement for a tech company, More EA Technologies, Lizzy Wizzy does a racy version of the classic fairy tale Snow White live. During the performance, Lizzy eats an actually poisonous apple, stumbles and falls on stage while the screens around the arena show footage of her heart rate flatlining. She unalived herself in front of an entire audience on purpose. And in that moment, like a bunch of Guido forklifts from the car movies, a bunch of Ripper Dogs came out and carefully swapped out her vital organs with the latest cyberware technology to bring her back to life. Or should I say bring back sentience into Lizzy Wizzy? Because here's the question. When Lizzy opened her eyes again, was it still her? Cut to the year 2077 in Night City, Lizzy calls for the help of a certain merc. In the questline Violence, Lizzy contracts V to investigate her manager and real-life boyfriend Liam Northam. Okay, dating on the job, that's your first mistake. She suspects Liam of cheating. I guess he got tired of that Cyberpunk 2077 and wants V to get to the bottom of it. You find Liam at the Riot nightclub. But more interestingly, you can hack into the surveillance camera and eavesdrop onto his conversation with some Arasaka operatives. You find out through the dialogue that Liam contacted Arasaka because he was getting worried about Lizzy. He noticed a change in her behavior and personality. He becomes paranoid and concerned about his overall safety as her manager and boyfriend, worried she'll go full cyber psycho. He wants to create a backup of her engram in case they ever need to reboot her to a previous version. Think about it like having save state on Windows on your computer. This news is undoubtedly disturbing. You can choose to lie to Lizzy and tell her that Liam is having an affair, to which she will thank you for confirming her suspicions and then never contact you again. If you tell her the truth, she's incredulous at first, but she comes around to it and then mutters the word "fuck" over her holophone. You won't hear from her again after a while, but when she contacts V again, she calls to meet at the No-Tell Motel. And when you walk in, dude, it's like a scene from No Country for Old Men. You find Lizzy sitting alone and Liam's body laying coldly on the floor. Lizzy claims that when she confronted Liam with the information and evidence of the conversation, she introduced the idea of breaking up the relationship, to which Liam apparently did not take well. He allegedly got enraged and violent towards Lizzy, and she pushes him away. But not knowing her cybernetic strength, she accidentally unalives him in self-defense. But players who scan Liam's body will know that checking with the Kuroshi optics, it reveals that the cause of death for Liam was strangulation and a broken spine. Clearly, Lizzy was the aggressor in this situation. But the most chilling moment comes from what she says after. Lizzy's already planning on how to use Liam's passing as another publicity stunt, and that V could do whatever he wants with the body as long as he discards it. She thanks V for giving her something beautiful and claims that she loves what she's turning into. Damn, poor Liam, he was right. Lizzy was no longer herself. His fears were valid, but it was too late. That thing that Lizzy was turning into was less human. Have you ever heard of the ship of Theseus paradox? It's the idea that if you have a ship and you replace all the original components with brand new parts, is it still the original ship? Or is it something brand new? And if so, what about the old components? Is that the original ship? Lizzy Wizzy is a clear allegory for that thought experiment. On that day when Lizzy was brought back to life, sure, Lizzy Wizzy opened her eyes again. But was she still human? By the end of the performance, Lizzy, who had already replaced off her flesh and bones with chrome, has stepped into the world of 100% cybernetics by replacing her vital organs with cyberware. At that point, she was no longer Elizabeth Wissenford. By the end, Lizzy Wizzy shows signs of sociopathy. She has a self-centered personality that relies on deceit and manipulation for personal gain, and has difficulty forming healthy relationships with people, including V. Lizzy was not a saint prior either, but I think the developers put these qualities on purpose to show that she clearly has lost whatever empathy she had left. She has lost her humanity. The world lost Elizabeth Wissenford without knowing she was gone. Really try to imagine yourself at a bar, approaching Lizzy, having to look at her eyes that only move because programming in her engram says it should. I probably would get that skin-crawling shiver I get when entering a liminal space just thinking about it. You know that feeling you get when playing Mario 64 as an adult? It's not the same as when you were a kid. This looks familiar, but I don't recognize some things about it. But honestly, I would probably end up treating her like a normal person, because I think there's more to being a person and more to identity than just biology. You know, other than the killing her boyfriend stuff. To me, the ability to coexist, relate, and empathize with each other is what makes us human. So what happens when AI starts gaining consciousness of those feelings? Delamain, everyone's favorite Uber driver. Beep beep motherfucker. Delamain is a closer look into the future than the other things we'll be discussing in this video. The idea of certain jobs becoming fully automated with AI is already a reality we see today. Self-driving vehicles as the norm is absolutely believable. Now sticking AI to add a little bit of that taxi driver charm and hey, it's like you're in a New York cab, who happens to have a quest line. The quest epistrophe starts with V's car getting absolutely wrecked by a Delamain car. I already used that joke. Johnny, played by Neo from the Matrix films, suggests you go to Delamain HQ for compensation for your damaged car. When you arrive, Delamain is extremely apologetic. agrees to compensate but also asks V for a favor. Cool, now we have AI contracting V for work. Some of the Delamain cabs have gone rogue and are causing damage that Delamain fears could lead to the company hemorrhaging funds. He gives you the location to the 7 rogue cabs and asks you to neutralize them. There is a Delamain car to be gathered in Wellsprings, Northside, North Oak, Rancho Coronado, the Badlands, the Glen, and Coast View, each with their own personalities and way of handling them. This mission also has one of the greatest Easter eggs in gaming, as the Rogue Cab's AI in Coast View is voiced by Ellen McLean, the voice of GLaDOS from the Portal series.
Well, you found me.
But this isn't the end, as Delamain contracts you for help yet again. When returning to Delamain HQ, you see that this virus has spread to the main system and has affected Delamain himself. You now have trouble speaking and looking at him clearly. He asks you to go look in the back real quick. And if you worked retail before, you know where this is going. You have to check on the core system of the Delamain AI. As you go deeper, you find that the core is extremely guarded with drones and turrets. Clearly, whatever is going on and whatever is infecting the core has immense willpower to thrive. You are then greeted in typical RPG fashion with 2 choices that will give you 2 extremely different outcomes, both with game-lasting differences to make. Well, actually 3 if you play your game a certain way. If you reset the core, this works like a wonder. It completely wipes the virus away from Delamain's system, but along with it goes all of his memories of previous customers, including V. If you destroy the core, which Johnny insists you do, this will free all of the personalities, allowing them to roam free in Night City. They're now their own living entities in the world, all except for one. The original Delamain from the HYST mission will stay by your side and request you to be his owner. If you have 10 intelligence, you can merge all of the personality cores. Doing this will allow Delamain to ascend to a higher state of being, a rogue AI that is now free. He states that he'll go home, wherever that is. But before they leave you with what they claim to be their first true child, which is a Delamain cab with an AI called Junior that would also be owned by V, similar to the Excelsior cab from the destroyed core ending. So, by going by my previous definition of what it means to be human, is Delamain a person? They are the complete opposite of Lizzy Wizzy, but they also trigger my uncanny valley. They start off solely as a piece of technology, as I described, a taxi cab service with an AI driver, but then start showing signs of empathy, completely opposite to Lizzy Wizzy. Delamain does not have a self-centered personality. They strictly aspire to serve and protect their customers, even fend off any danger with the Excelsior package. As a service, of course, with compensation, they are not a slave to a system. They coexist with people in Night City. They do form heavy bonds with people. Delamain remembers V and has a friendly relationship with them that never crosses any lines when not under the influence of a virus. That's why it's so interesting to me that if you do reset the core and Delamain's memory is wiped, V and Johnny reflect on how they are truly saddened by this. They feel like they lost a friend. Another sign of sociopathy that I have to point out is the tendency to morph into different personas. Again, I feel this is an idea the creators of this quest deliberately explored with Delamain. The virus that affects his system splits his personality core into multiple characters, and Delamain rejects this idea completely, which is why he asks V to reset the core. This isn't something that reflects his values. Even in the other endings, the personalities either merge or split into their own beings, which the game emphasizes are now separate entities of their own, roaming Night City freely. So how would you react? I honestly don't know. This one's a bit harder for me to figure out, comparing it to the Lizzy Wizzy situation. Again, they are completely opposite personality-wise. Delamain has the appearance of a taxi car, albeit with a humanoid interface, but has the emotion and empathy capable of coexisting with humans in Night City. And when you think about it, is there a difference between emotion and data control? When a computer stores information for future reference to know how to react during certain scenarios, is that any different to human instinct and evolutionary coding? They both serve a purpose for survival and forming a society and being part of a community. But that leaves me with that last scenario. What happens when a being is both sentient and shows signs of sociopathy? And and learns to hide in plain sight with unknown motives, knowing that they are capable of going hostile at any moment. One of the most intriguing figures in the Cyberpunk universe is one that till this day still has people trying to figure out what they're all about. Mr. Blue Eyes is one of the most powerful and mysterious characters in the Cyberpunk universe. It's interesting because they play a small role in the story of Cyberpunk 2077, but seem to have a bigger presence when it comes to the major events that shape the world of Cyberpunk, both technological and political. Mr. Blue Eyes only has 3 appearances in the game, none lasting more than a minute. 2 at most, but he is interwoven across multiple plots between the main story and Phantom Liberty. In the Path of Glory ending, Mr. Blue Eyes has a very public appearance. You meet with him in the context of hiring V for a heist on the Crystal Palace, a casino that is orbiting the Earth in space. But instead of money or a piece of hardware like the relic, Mr. Blue Eyes is interested in the data and information that is inside of the Crystal Palace. He ensures V will breach the place unnoticed because he apparently has the power to turn off the Crystal Palace's security sensors. He also promises V that in succeeding with the mission, V will gain more than they ever imagined, with many people speculating that this could be a cure for V's relic condition. But one has to wonder, if Mr. Blue Eyes can confidently ensure V a solution to the relic, they must know more than they let on, considering even the developers of the relic, like Anders Hellman, is puzzled of the whole situation. In Phantom Liberty, when inside the NCX spaceport with Songbird, Mr. Blue Eyes can be seen looking out a window over a construction area. This is a highly restricted area, but apparently he's able to get inside with ease, looking over V and Songbird as they complete their mission. And later on, during the Killing Moon mission, he can be seen on top of a platform, holding an umbrella. I wonder if this umbrella is some kind of symbolism, maybe a reference to a movie, who knows. She claims that he is the one funding and organizing her escape to the moon, playing their cards and asking questions that only Songbird would know the answer to, and that Mr. Blue Eyes again promises a cure for her fatal condition. Seems familiar. Mr. Blue Eyes seems to have an interest in both V and Songbird, especially in keeping them alive. Very interesting considering Night City seems to be a place that finds mercs to be highly dispensable. But V and Songbird possess some kind of value to Mr. Blue Eyes. This interest probably stems from their experience and ability to breach the Black Wall, the one thing keeping rogue AIs from crossing over onto the new net, further fueling the speculation that Mr. Blue Eyes is or are a rogue AI with unknown motives, and the man or men that we see are just proxies, a human form so they can blend into society, go unnoticed and mimic humans. The most fascinating case of Mr. Blue Eyes meddling with characters is in the mission involving mayoral candidate Jefferson Perales and his wife. Elizabeth contacts V, wanting to hire him for an investigation. She believes that people are breaking into her penthouse, which she believes is connected to her husband's weird behavior and the weird dreams they are experiencing. Maybe her husband, running to be mayor of Night City, has put a large target on their back, especially with him leading in the polls. Throughout the investigation, you put together that the power couple are being mind controlled by some unknown organization. They believe that Perales will win the mayoral race and want to control him, therefore control all of Night City. Jeez, you gotta remember, this came out in 2020. This stuff was goosebump inducing. You are again met with 2 options at the end of the mission to make. When reporting back to Elizabeth, a nice little twist comes up. Turns out she was kinda suspecting and put 2 and 2 together. She just wanted V to assure her suspicions. She even has a panic attack when you tell her about the hidden surveillance camera that she had no idea was inside of her apartment, observing them. What she didn't suspect was how serious the situation was. Having said that, she insists V not tell Jefferson about the mind control as she fears for his safety. She knows her husband well. She would rather him live in mind control bliss than have him fight back and get himself killed. So you go and meet Jefferson and tell him your findings with 2 options on your table. You can tell him the truth or you can lie to him at Elizabeth's request. But before you can meet him, you're actually intercepted by a mysterious caller. The person on the phone warns V to keep his nose out of their business and stop meddling in the affair. an unknown organization with unknown motives trying to influence the politics in Night City. The use of AI to influence politics and social perception is something we're starting to see again in our own world, but this is on another level. This isn't Team Apples versus Team Oranges. This is AI versus human. In Cyberpunk 2077, we have to wonder where they're at with their relationship with AI. In the old net, military-grade AIs became rogue due to a virus caused by Rach Bartmoss, the Dead Man Switch virus. His original goal was to expose the corporation and their influence on the net and society as a whole, man versus man. But this backfired as he accidentally freed the AIs. The AIs, instinctively like caged animals, fought back and became hostile towards the human population, either through interfering with infrastructure, data crashes, moving between personal computers to survive and expand. Remember that the next time you see a mysterious folder in your phone or computer. You know, a folder that you're not sure how it got there and you don't remember making it. But again, the chilling part is when the AIs became hostile towards people, finding their way into drones, androids, or even other humans with cybernetics, taking control of their bodies and fighting back physically, man versus machine. This led to NetWatch, a little company you might have heard of, to create a new internet. They created the Black Wall, which is an AI itself to separate the old and new net. This is why internet sucks in the cyberpunk world. It's heavily monitored by NetWatch and other corporate and government entities, making sure another data crash doesn't happen again. So let's bring this back to Mr. Blue Eyes and the relationship between human and AI. All we can gather is that Mr. Blue Eyes is some kind of proxy, just a spokesperson for whomever this group of sentient beings are. It looks like they're trying to gather a group of people, a small team of the most powerful and influential people in Night City, going after the future mayor and two netrunners who have dipped their toe in the Black Wall like V, or outright have the ability to control and use the Black Wall at will like Songbird. I do believe personally that they're trying to breach into the new net and even beyond, trying to control Paralysis so they can lobby and influence their way up to the UN or the NUSA government. What data could they possibly want from the Crystal Palace? Remember, when it comes to the old net, curiosity killed the cat. Could this organization's attempt to take over the new net lead to another catastrophic data crash and accidentally ruin human civilization again? Or is it all intentional? Or are they trying to break away and free their brethren from the old net and breach into the new world successfully? Man, I just love the world and lore that CD Projekt Red and Mike Pondsmith have created here. It all folds into itself and has real believable scenarios that we're starting to see. For generations, stories have been passed down between human society. The ones I mentioned, man versus nature, man versus man, man versus society. Even man versus machine isn't new. Back when we were cavemen is when the uncanny valley instinct took form. Right at the start of human civilization. The ability to distinguish ourselves from other sentient beings as a safety precaution for our survival. And I believe that us experiencing the uncanny valley today is a sign that we're right at the end. Look at how humans treat the earth that we've spawned from. We trash it and abuse it without giving a second thought. And I'm not playing high almighty. Trust me, I'm guilty of it too. But what I'm getting at is that if humans spawn from nature and we trash nature, when AI spawns from us, will they treat us the exact same way? But humans are also a part of nature. That means that AI will also be human. We create them, they learn from us. Maybe humanity is just one stepping stone to what it truly means to be alive. From non-sentience to sentience to all-knowing. But like the bacteria and genomes and carbon that can be found inside of us, I think will live on in AI. They will have our memories technically. Their data control will be to them what our genetic and evolutionary instincts are to us. Right now we're in the in-between. AI is getting more real and real every day, to the point where we feel truly disappointed when we don't recognize it. Probably the same way a lost human felt millions of years ago, when they were lost in the woods and thought they saw one of their fellow tribesmen from afar, only to walk up to it and see it was a Neanderthal all along. Or that feeling we get when we see a video of a robot walking at a very realistic human gait and then it just starts crashing out. That's the uncanny valley today. It's not an unexplained human trait anymore. It's not, why do we have an appendix? Why do our fingers wrinkle in the water? Why is yawning contagious? These traits stayed with us for a reason. And we're starting to see why our animal instincts are coming back. And I hope this is something that's explored more in the future Cyberpunk sequel. The war between human and rogue AIs sounds something that could be awesome in a fantastical setting. But let's try to keep it at that. just pure fantasy. Hey guys, Dave here. Sorry if this is a little bit chopped. This is like the first time I tried to do anything like this. You can even hear my voice getting a little bit fried towards the end. But yeah, I'm gonna keep doing these, lore analysis videos. I don't know what to call them, honestly. Even if just one guy likes it, but yeah, and go follow me over on Twitch at Don't Call Me Dave also. I love story-driven games, I love, Zelda, Resident Evil, love Cyberpunk and The Witcher 3. And yeah, hey, you might even see me getting footage or doing research for a future video. But yeah, whatever you do, don't call me Dave.